Once again,
Thank you.
welcome everyone to this Monday afternoon webinar, where I've been looking very much forward to welcome all of you to this webinar in Food Nation's Visitor Center. Actually, you can see behind me, this is the Food Nation Visitor Center where we welcome delegations from all over the world and where you can also invite maybe your customers or partners, co-workers to meetings, workshops, and so on. So don't hesitate to reach out if you are curious about getting to know more about the Visitor Center. But today we are online at this webinar, and it's a huge pleasure for me to say that we've been looking forward to host this webinar in close collaboration with the Danish Agriculture and Food Council and also with the Trade Council in Germany. And so with me today, I have in front of the screen, I have been looking very much forward to welcome Bastian Ellegaard. And Bastian is a senior consultant at the Danish Agriculture and Food Council. And also with me today, we have Tanja Asmussen from the Trade Council in Germany, also senior commercial advisor at the embassy. So we have a strong team who will present different aspects of the German market, how to navigate on the German market. To handle all the techniques, I have also two good colleagues with me, and that is Malte and Katrine. And I will really motivate all of you to use the chat function to ask questions along the way, because of course that way we will be able to involve as much as possible and take questions along the way. So please do so. Yeah, and I can see, Fernando, you did a good job. You already typed in your name and where you're from. It is a really good gesture for everyone. Just write your name and where you come from so we know who is actually in the webinar with us today. So also, I mean, let us know if you have any technical issues along the way, and we will do our best to adjust, of course. Let's have a look at the agenda of today, and we will try to answer three different questions during this webinar. First of all, how important is the German market to the Danish food cluster's export? This is where Bastian Ellegaard from the Danish Agriculture and Food Council will share insights from their analysis. Then I will do my best to answer the question, what image do decision makers in Germany have of Denmark as a food and agriculture nation? And then we will invite again Bastian Ellegaard to give us the perspective of how do German consumers behave when it comes to food, climate, and animal welfare. So we have both the business-to-business perspective and the business-consumer perspective. Last but not least, we will invite Tanja Asmussen from the Trade Council in Germany to discuss the opportunities and the potential challenges which should be considered when we are eager to export to Germany. So this is today's questions that we will do our best to answer. And I will just, before we move on, let you know that we are recording the webinar, just so you know, and it will be possible to share afterwards. Also, we will share the slides with all of you participating here today. But first of all, I'm really pleased to welcome Bastian Ellegaard, Senior Consultant at the Danish Agriculture and Food Council. Bastian, please join me up here.
Thank you very much, Lise.
The stage is yours.
And good to see you all. And thank you for organizing this webinar. I work as an economist at the Danish Agriculture and Food Council. My department is called Analysis and Statistics, and we are quite nerdy. So if you like numbers and charts, then you are in for a treat. I've been asked to answer this question: how important is the German market to the Danish food cluster's exports? When we talk about the Danish food cluster, we talk about many different industries at once. The food cluster is a collective term for the agricultural sector, but also food and beverage companies and other companies related to the food and agriculture value chain in Denmark. And this first slide, it shows the total exports from the Danish food cluster. So this is exports to all markets, not just Germany. And exports are extremely important to the Danish food cluster. 75% of the production in the food cluster is being exported. And in 2023, we hit a new record where we exported 199 billion kroner. And in my department, we divide the exports into 3 different categories. Food, and that is goods that are either directly or indirectly suitable for human consumption. Then we have bioproducts, that is things like DNA or enzymes. And then we have agri-technology, and that is machineries and tools for the agricultural sector and also the food sector. But now we are going to dive into the German market. And here we see the most important markets for the Danish food cluster in 2023. And if you look at the graph to the right, you see a lot of different countries. And it's very clear that Germany is the largest market. 17% of total exports from the Danish Food Council went to Germany last year. So that is 17% of the 199 billion kroner. And Germany has been number 1 for many, many decades. So it's an extremely important market for the Danish Food Council. And here I have made a graph where I show the development in the exports to the German market over time from 2014 to 2023. We also see that 2023 was a record year when we look at the exports to the German market. And in fact, exports to Germany has increased by 30% from 2021 to 2023. So this market has just become bigger. And then I have tried to look at some of the most important goods that we export to the German market. And here are 5 product groups, and these product groups, they make up 65% of the food cluster's exports to Germany. And the biggest item that we're exporting, that is piglets and pork meat. And piglets, that is small pigs that we export to Germany. But we also export a lot of processed pork meat that go directly to the supermarkets or into restaurants. And from 2021 to 2023, there have been an increase of 64% in our exports of piglets and pork meat. We also export a lot of dairy products. There have been an increase of 39% in this product group. We also export a lot of fish and shellfish. We export a lot of beverages, and we also export a lot of agricultural machinery. And I like to look at the macroeconomy when I analyze a market. And some of you may have heard that the German economy is struggling a little bit. And that's also why we had The Economist magazine. They had this cover last year where they asked, is Germany once again a sick man of Europe? And the reason why they had this cover is because that last year Germany was the only large economy in the world to actually shrink last year. And when we look at growth projection for the coming years, then we expect German economy to only increase by around 1% a year. And that's way less than we see in the US, that we see in China and in Denmark. So they are struggling a bit in the German economy. And one of the reasons why is that they had built a very competitive manufacturing sector based on cheap Russian gas. And now they don't have access to the cheap gas anymore, and that has really hit their manufacturing economy. But the problems go a little bit deeper than that. They also have sluggish productivity growth in Germany compared to other countries. And they also have a lot of older people who are going to retire over the next 5 years. So the baby boomers, they're going to retire, and that will also drag down growth in the coming years. And if we look at the German population, then it's around 85 million at the moment. And the World Bank expects the population to decline in the coming decades. And this is because the death rates will exceed the birth rates of the German population. However, in many years, we have seen that there have been a lot of immigrants to Germany. And I also expect more immigrants to come to Germany in the coming years. And therefore, I'm a bit more optimistic than the World Bank. I don't expect the population to decline as much as in this graph. Maybe we can expect it to flatten a little bit. Because when all these people retire, then they will need new labor. And often we see that immigrants replace those that labor force. So this is just an overview of the export market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bastian. And I mean, we do have, please just stay a little bit longer right here. We do have time for if we have any clarifying questions at this stage for Bastian. I mean, this was the overview, as you say, the macro economy in Germany. And of course, as said before, we will share the slides. But I mean, from my point of view, I certainly think that it's really interesting that we see this huge growth. Even it's already the most important export market for Denmark. So there's still a potential for this close market for us. Yeah,
definitely. And we have a lot of consumers that actually start to have preferences for products that Danish companies produce. But that I will return to that.
Get back to that. Yeah. Thank you very much, Bastian. And I will take it away from here then and invite you back up later on. Because what we will try to move on now is that from building upon the macro tendencies, the macro knowledge about the German market, I would like to add information about the image amongst decision makers on the German market towards Denmark as a food and agriculture nation. So to do so, I am taking set off in the yearly Insight report that we carry out in Food Nation. And this Insight report is made in 2023, covering the markets of the States, China, India, and also Germany. So it's very important for me to state that the decision makers that we have been in dialogue with is business to business people, and this is what the results reflect. So after this, we will have the business to consumer perspective from Bastian, but right now it's a business to business perspective. So let's zoom in on the results from Germany from this Insight report. And first of all, I would like to take you on the journey towards the general knowledge about Danish agriculture, food products and solutions. And here you can see the average between the four markets, which is on 26%. And luckily, the German market has the lowest percentage in this answer because actually mainly the decision makers know quite a lot about the Danish agriculture, food products and solutions, but still we are in a very close market. It is our most important export market, and still 18% of these business to business decision makers say they don't know much about Danish agriculture, food products and solutions. So we can do better. We have a potential to reach out for. The good story is that when we ask these decision makers about how they look upon Denmark, 74% of the German decision makers state that they see Denmark as a leading food and agriculture nation. And of course, we're quite happy with this result, also because it is our most important market. So, but still, if they think and they really believe that we are among the best, you also have the possibility of grow the awareness even more. And at the same time, we are also in a quite good position when we ask the decision makers about products and solutions if they are good value for money, because actually 62% of the German decision makers highlight that this is actually the case. So that is quite interesting because, as we all know, affordability can be a challenge when we're talking about Danish products and solutions, but at the same time, we are able to deliver in so many high-level quality arenas that the decision makers actually rate us good value for money. If we move on to the question that we have asked the decision makers, so we asked them, Danish companies offer products and solutions that support sustainable production across the value chain. So how can we support the green transition in the different markets? And as you can see here, zooming in on the German market. Well, almost 4/5 of the German decision makers, or more precisely 79%, agree that the Danish companies offers these products and solutions which actually support the sustainable production. So we do have a strong position in supporting the market's transition in a more sustainable direction. So we have another statement, which of course is interesting regarding the transition towards a more sustainable agri-food system. And that is, Denmark is a strong contributor of products and solutions that uphold a high level of food safety and support resource efficiency. This questions or this statement, of course, covers the area of the way our products and solutions contribute to the fact that we can produce more with less input and at the same time uphold the high level of food safety. And in this case, more than 3 in 4 decision makers from Germany point to the fact that Denmark is a strong contributor to these technical products and solutions which can accelerate that transition. So we are in a strong position when it comes to our products and solutions in these cases. Taking a closer look at what is important to the German decision makers and how Denmark is rated. This is very interesting because if you look at the below top 5 values, that is what is important for the German decision makers when they produce, purchase, sell, or handle products and solutions from across the value chain. So if they are looking for specific values connected to a product and a solutions, they will prioritize quality, food safety, freshness, good taste, and healthy. At the same time, they rate Danish agriculture and food products and solutions more or less with the same attributes. So we are rated very high on quality, healthy, animal welfare, organic, and freshness. So that we see a good match, of course, on these attributes. And this is actually what you could call unique selling points. So what to do when approaching the German decision makers, of course, is the match between what is important for them and where are we actually rated in a very, very positive manner. So this is what I will encourage you to take a closer look at and really maybe investigate even more according to the specific product or solution that you are covering in your business. Are there any of these unique selling points that you could turn up the volume in your dialogue with the German business-to-business decision makers? So this was a quick run through of the image analysis results focused on Germany from 2023. And now I would like to move on to our next phase of this webinar, and that covers the consumers. So the next question is for you, Bastian. Please join me again up here. And this is how German consumers behave when it comes to food, climate, and animal welfare. And I must say, Bastian, I'm curious to hear if we have a match towards the business-to-business decision makers.
Thank you again, Lise. So what we have done in my department is that we have asked a lot of German consumers about their preferences. And we have asked 3,000 Germans, both in 2020 and in 2023. So we have a big panel of consumers that we asked a lot of questions. And all the slides I'm going to show you now come from these, the answers from these consumers. And you can also find a report on our website that show the same numbers and insights. The reason why we made the survey both in 2020 and 2023 is because then we can compare the 2 years and see if there are any trends. So the first thing I want to talk about is the food conditions that apply to German consumers. And here we have a graph with 2 columns and a lot of different statements. So the dark green column is the results from 2020, and the light green column is results from 2023. And we see across these different food conditions, there have been an increase in the number of consumers that report that they have these conditions. So we see an increase in the number of flexitarians. We see an increase in the number of people reporting having diabetes. We see an increase in people with lactose intolerance, and an increase people who say they are vegetarian, and an increase in the number of people who have gluten allergy. So there's an increase in the reported food conditions. Then we have also given these consumers a lot of different statements, and we asked them, okay, which statements do you agree the most with? And there are 3 statements that come up in the top, and that is, they say, I try to eat varied and not too much. They say, I'm worried about food waste. And then they say, I'm worried about climate changes. So these statements are top of mind when we ask German consumers about a lot of different statements. And then I've been asked to look a little bit deeper on how German consumers perceive climate issues, sustainability issues, and animal welfare issues. And here I have 2 different graphs, and I want to start with a graph on the left-hand side of the slide. And here we have asked, do you become more and more interested in eating climate friendly? And we see that 53% say that they either agree a lot or agree with this statement. So they say they are becoming more and more interested in eating climate friendly. But we also asked this question in 2020, and here 60% said so. So still more than half of German consumers say they are interested in eating more climate friendly, but it's actually fewer people than when we asked 3 years ago. And the same pattern emerges on the graph on the right-hand side of the slide. Here we asked, okay, how much do you think about climate when you buy food and drinks? And here 52% say that they think about the climate when they buy food and drinks. And this was 58% in 2020. So these trends are important to the German consumers, but they are becoming a little bit less important. Then we have also asked about the consumers' attitude towards animal welfare. And when we asked in 2020, 33% of the consumers said that they in general worry a lot about animal welfare. This is what you see on the columns in the right of the slide. And when we asked in 2023, then only 25% said that they care a great deal about animal welfare in general. So there has also been a little decrease in concerns about animal welfare. And now I want to talk about the preferences for meat among German consumers. And we have asked all these consumers, do you eat more or less meat today than you did 2 years ago? And here it's very clear that more and more German consumers eat less and less meat. So when we asked in 2023, then 39% said that, yes, we do eat less meat than we did 2 years ago. And this number was only 33% in 2020. So there's an increase in the number of people who eat less and less meat. And then we asked them, why is this the case? And there are 3 reasons why people eat less and less meat. So the most often said thing is, okay, I eat less meat because it's more healthy for me to eat less meat. And then the second statement is, okay, I eat less meat because I care about the animal welfare. And then the third thing is that, okay, I eat less meat because then I save some money. And this is also what we've seen among Danish consumers, that as inflation have increased, then people cut down on meat because it's a more expensive product compared to alternatives. And then we have also asked the German consumers about how do you assess food from different countries? And we've asked them to rate food quality from different countries on a scale from 1 to 5, where 5 is the highest rating and 1 is the lowest rating. And surprisingly enough, German consumers think that food quality from Germany is of the highest quality. We see that 35% of the consumers think that German food is of the highest quality. And 38% says, okay, the quality is a 4 out of 5. So German consumers really have a preference for their own food. Then if we look at Denmark, France, and the EU, then German consumers assess the quality of food from these regions, Denmark, France, and EU, as of being almost the same quality. And then when we look at the US, there's actually more people who think that food from the US is of low quality than there is people who think that it is a high quality. But there's one interesting thing from this figure that I want to highlight, and that is that 28% of the consumers, they don't know about the food quality of Danish food. So 28% said, we don't know what the food quality is of Danish food. And then we also asked all these consumers, okay, what attributes would you put on food from different countries? And here we have columns with different colors, and the dark green columns, they show what people think of German food. And here consumers say, okay, it's of high quality, has a high level of food safety, and it's sustainable. And then the light green column shows the attributes that people connect with Danish food. And here 50% said, we don't know. That is what you see on the right hand side of the bar chart. So many people, they actually don't know what characterizes Danish food. And that is a bit different from what you said, Lise.
Mm-hmm.
And you also talked about decision makers and not the consumers. So those are 2 different populations. So I just want to summarize what characterizes the German consumer today. Well, we observe that the German consumer has an increased awareness. They report more food conditions than previously, and that is both dietary preferences and it's also allergies. Then we see that German consumers, they have a preference for balanced eating. They want to eat more healthy. They want to eat with the climate in mind. Then we also see that German consumers, they are concerned about climate and they also want to buy more climate friendly. But 3 years ago, they had this more in mind than they do today. Then we also see a reduction in meat consumption. People want to eat less and less meat because they say it's because it's more healthy and they can save some money and they care about the animal welfare. And then we also see a large home bias. German consumers, they strongly prefer food from Germany. And this is not surprising. This is actually the case in many, many countries. If you ask Danish consumers, they would also prefer Danish food or rate that as of being a superior quality compared to food from other countries. But this is important to have in mind when you address the German consumers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bastian. And so many interesting takeaways. Please just stay with me a short while. First of all, the number 28 that you highlighted, that actually 28% does not know about the food quality that we can deliver from Denmark. And that, of course, is comparable to the number that I brought in, around 18% of the German decision makers who say they do not know much about the agriculture and food products and solutions. So your question was covering specifically quality, and the question that we had showing that I'm just saying that we have a clear tendency here that we can actually put more awareness into the German consumers and decision makers. So that was really an interesting number. Another interesting case, if I may just go back, Bastian, here to this one.
Yes.
Because I'm so curious about this graph actually showing that Denmark is rated lower on most of these parameters, lower than the EU average and lower than France. Can you give us a reflection on this?
Yeah, so that's a very boring statistical explanation, because when many people say we don't know about the attributes of Danish food, then there's fewer percentages left to the other categories. So that's the boring explanation.
Okay.
And then we must just say that the EU, it seems to be a stronger brand on food than just the Danish label. For some reason, the German consumers, they have maybe more trust in the brands coming from a EU country than just the brand coming from a specific nation.
And a neighboring nation, which has been trading for so many years. That is quite surprising for me, actually. Yeah. We will follow up on these results shortly, Bastian. For now, thank you so much for sharing these really interesting findings. Yeah. So now we will move on to the exact opportunities and challenges which should be considered when exporting to Germany. And I would like to take you on the ride with Tanja Asmussen. We'll just share my mic, no problem, from the Trade Council of Denmark and Germany. So Tanja, great to have you here. And you are in Denmark, which is really strange, but you are. Yes. We have good reasons for having you here. Yes. Tanja, tell us a little bit about the main opportunities as you see them. Let's start with the opportunities.
I actually believe there are a lot of opportunities, and I believe that, thank you, Bastian, again, and thank you for I think they're the really great numbers. Germany, first of all, is not just Germany. I think that's one thing that is very important. All the things that you said are actually true, but Germany's are 16 different states, so 16 different ways of seeing Denmark. So if you have a product and you go to Schleswig-Holstein, the north, they will know a lot about Denmark, but if you go to Bavaria, it'll be a different number. So one of the things about the opportunities is that do your homework, find out where your product matches, and don't think Germany as a whole, but think about one of 16.
Yeah, good point, Tanja. I hope the sound is okay. We'll stand close together. I'm sure we will manage. So 16 different areas of interest. That's a lot, Tanja. That causes some challenges, I think, when you are maybe a small and medium-sized Danish company who are curious on entering the German market. What kind of challenges are the main challenges that you experience when working with Danish companies?
The knowledge about Germany. First of all, Germany is about price. Like you said, it's about German products. But if you have a unique price and you have a unique taste and a product, I believe you'll always find your fit in Germany. But again, you have to know the market. So if you go to Germany, you have many big cities. You can go to Hamburg, you can go to Berlin, you can go to Munich or Düsseldorf. Up there, you'll always find people with a lot of money for your category. But if you start somewhere in in the East, you'll probably not have any awareness about Denmark, or they will not be ready to pay the price for your product. So first of all, go into your car and go down to the supermarket and see what's on the shelves, see what the prices is, and see where you match.
Mm. And then Tanya, a low practical thing, you know, I've not been working my Duolingo very well the last couple of years. Is that a challenge with the language if I'm not able to speak German?
Absolutely,
It is.
It is. But it's not a not go. It depends again where you want to go. But you have to understand the culture again. And German is very good, especially if you go there. It's not about selling at the first meeting that you have, but going into dialogue. And we usually say before you really start selling and earning money, it will take 3 to 4 years' time. And then you start up building a network. So it's important that you go to the fairs, go into that car like I told you about, go to all the kind of conferences there are and meet up with German so you can be a part of the network. Because again, like Bastian said, it's very important. German love German products, but German love German friends. Mm. So if you friend up with somebody, sometimes actually your product is not the product as you sell it in Denmark, but maybe it's going to be a B2B product to go with something else. So networking with German is a very, very important thing. Like in Denmark, we are doing it, but we're not thinking about doing it, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
But it's a good point. I mean, I think a lot of people are discussing the value of being at a fair, being at a conference, but you have a good point that the culture in Germany is still, these events are important to meet and build relations. So that's a good takeaway, Tanya. So I'm just curious, this was about the methods, so to speak. Now I'm curious about moving into the different areas of business. So, you know, now we have heard about the, above all, developments on the German market. We've heard about the awareness regarding the business-to-business stakeholders and the consumers. Do you recognize these numbers, Tanya? Is it the same tendencies? I was amazed by the fact that Bastian said the reason why the Germans eat less meat from 2020 to 2023 is because of health, money, and animal welfare. These 3 factors. Is that also your reflection?
There are, I think, more to it, but yes, he's completely right. That's one of the factors. But once again, the movement within the plant-based sector is getting better and better. Taste is getting better and better. The texture is getting better and better. So, of course, people, they try it first time, it doesn't work. And some people try it the second time. They find, oh, it's not so bad. So they're changing their habits to become more flexitarian. And the vegan and vegetarian movements, they are growing. But still, that's not where the volume is. The volume is within the flexitarians. So yes, you have the ethical thing as well. You have a lot of foreigners as well in Germany who again have joined the movement. And at the moment we have a minister who's a vegetarian. And he's made a lot of dialogue about pigs and how animals are supposed to be treated. So the politics at the moment in Germany from the government side is more to, they won't say we'll eat less, but it's in the lines.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see Bastian's numbers in 2 years' time, the development. But what I also hear you say is that if we need to meet the expectations, we need to work on taste and texture. Absolutely. The quality has to be as high as it is today.
Yeah.
Okay, Tanya. So it's great that you are not online on a screen. You're actually here, and there's a good reason why you're here, because you just had a delegation coming to Denmark, and you actually do this quite often. Why don't you share a few of your experiences with this recent delegation? What were their main experiences? What were the main takeaways from visiting Denmark?
Yeah, I think I'll just first of all say, we in Denmark make really innovative products. We're really known for innovation. So out there, continue the good work. That's what we love for at the fairs. And that's the reason why my job in Germany is so easy, because you do such a good job. And I'm here in Denmark because I, for many years, have had a strategic work together with Landbrug & Fødevare, and we are having a lot of delegation coming here to Food Nation, where we can show our DNA. And this time I had HelloFresh. I believe everybody from you would love to be a part of HelloFresh. We had Rewe, that's one of the biggest supermarket chains, and we had Provec, who talked about the vegan and vegetarian society and the movement where we are going to in Germany. And that part is really growing. If you go into a German supermarket, it's really wild what you can see. And when I go into Denmark, I'm looking for a vegan opportunity. Although we, from the political side, have an agenda that we want to do more, but it's not about, and that's a problem in Germany, it's about the other, one thing or the other. In Denmark, we're good about communicating. We need both. We need more plant-based, but it's okay to eat meat. So that's one of the things that's going on here. We had 25 people from politics up here as well. And they're actually looking towards what we are doing with the organic movement. They have just copied, 20 years ago, they copied the Ø-mærke. They called it bio. It's not the same high level. It's more similar to the EU level. But at the moment, we have these, the bronze, silver, and gold labels. And they implemented that in October. And that's going to be a really great movement for Denmark and again for the Danish export.
So it's a door opener.
Exactly.
So, but Tanya, I want you to pull you a little bit back in the value chain, because now we've been in the supermarket, the online markets, and the restaurant sector, but we're not able to deliver this high innovation on products if we do not have a strong value chain. So what about the agriculture? What about the primary sector in Germany?
Yeah.
Can you just add a few reflections on what's going on?
I believe in the primary sector. We think about what we do within agriculture, the grass that we have everywhere on the football place that we're going to see soon. Where are they from?
Yes, they're from Denmark.
Yes, okay. Yeah. So I think it's about you doing a great job here at Food Nation, branding Denmark, and that's what we're doing at the moment. So I think we have to tell the story a bit more. I think you as ambassadors, you companies as well, when you go out, tell the story a bit more within having the good taste and the good products with you. And actually, now that you're both saying from your things, they don't know a lot about Denmark. When I'm sitting in Berlin, they know everything about Denmark. Politicians, stakeholders, all the people that I talk to. Of course, when I go to Bavaria, it's a different thing. But actually, they're actually inviting us at the moment because they're hearing the things from Berlin, what's going on. So we just have to keep on doing the good work.
Which is why I'm very pleased that my good colleague Jens is going to Schleswig-Holstein next week, participating in a fair on agriculture and innovative technology. Great, Tanya. Thank you so much for sharing these insights. And now I will invite Bastian to join us. And this will be interesting regarding mics, because we want Bastian in the middle.
Yes.
Maybe. And then you will share that mic. We'll just see if you have any questions for Tanya, for Bastian, or me. You are more than welcome to bring them forward in the chat right here. This is a really good opportunity to find out what to do next approaching the German market. And while you might consider a few of these questions, I have a question for you, Bastian. I mean, you are an economist. You like the macro economy, but I will still ask you, with your knowledge of the German development, what would be your best advice to companies who would like to take more strategic action in approaching this important market?
So I would first of all,
I think we're fine.
Yes. Thank you. So I would listen to what was said previously, that it's a lot about price. So when you sell to German consumers and to consumers everywhere, it is price that is the number one thing that they look for. So be very competitive on price, and also find your niche market, as you also said. Find out, okay, where can I fit in, where there are less competitors, and where I can fill out a gap in the market. So that's what I would start by doing. And then, as you also said, go down there and see what's working in practice, not just in theory.
And use Duolingo before you leave Denmark.
I have no idea about how good they are at English in Germany.
What would be your best advice, Tanya?
The price, but again, do your homework. And one thing that's very important, if you have a price in Denmark, maybe your price in Germany should be different, because it's about more than 80 million people. So that's a big difference, right? So if you sell 1,000 parts of something, or you sell 100,000 parts of it, it's a big difference in your pricing. So in Germany, the price is always behind the comma, right?
Yeah.
So that's very, very important that you think about that. It's a difference selling 2,000 or 2 million.
And allow me just to add a reflection on this price thing, because what we found in our image analysis, and that is actually also being repeated, is that we do deliver good value for money. And this means that we need to keep up the good quality, and we need to communicate that quality, which is really important, because competition grows, and you need to really be sure of your unique selling points. How can you differentiate yourself, and as both Bastian and Tanya says, and this is where you should look into where can you differentiate yourself and add the value from Denmark. And we do have a question now regarding the baking industry and chain bakeries, how to approach this industry with spent grain flour. I do not know if maybe Tanya, do you have a reflection on this?
Yeah, do I read spent? Do you mean
spent? No, spent grain flour. Yeah, so the leftovers from the brewing industry. Yeah.
I believe there are a lot of chances there, but again, if you go into brewing industry in Germany, you have to think about all the brewers that you have in Germany, first of all. So you have a really large competition there. In Germany, they have, for many cities, their local breweries. So there has to be a unique selling point with what your leftovers are there.
Yeah, but I think that the question here is that if you have a leftover product from the brewing industry, and that would be the spent grain, how can you enter the baking industry with this product? And I guess what I would suggest is that you should really be sure of the story about circularity, and the story about upscaling a leftover product from one step in the value chain to another step in the value chain. So again, that would be a unique selling point, and that would be one of the entry points, I would say. Do you want to add something here, Bastian, or you don't feel like an expert in baking industry?
I am not an expert on it.
No,
what you have
that's
said
fine.
is already very, very knowledgeable.
So now we have another really interesting question, and I guess that will be for you, Bastian. Do you have consumer insights on the different 16 delstater, as Tanya mentioned, even regarding habits on seafood? Do you have that close data?
Not what I am aware of. So the numbers I presented earlier is representative for all states in Germany, but in the future we could make consumer analyses for different states if there's an interest in that, and if so, then it be very good for us to know which states you are most interested in. When we make these surveys, we want to ask as many people as possible, and we ask 3,000 people, but if you are going to split that across 16 states, then you get too few people in every state to make any statistical analysis. So I would be happy to make an analysis on specific states, but if you have some you prefer, please write so in the chat, and then in 2 years maybe I can present it.
So that is a good answer, Bastian. Let's get some feedback on maybe which states are the most important to you. We have another question, which is about the online development. This is really interesting question, I think. how is the development going in regarding using mobile phones for shopping, information, and so on. Tanya, I think this is a question for you.
Yeah, of course. Big cities, no problem. Everybody does it on their mobile phone. They buy a beer and it comes 10 minutes later to your place. Within Corona, that's been a big boost for the food sector. Everybody, all the big supermarkets have their drivers. Till Corona, they didn't earn money with it, but they had to do it to keep the competitors outside. And I just a few days ago talked to Rewe. They have Rewe Lieferservice, and they're saying now we're beginning to earn money about it. So it's growing. It's growing. But again, it's a different from city to city. Again, in Berlin, a lot of people, man and wife, are working outside. If you go to Munich, it's sometimes a different story where you have still a lot of housewives going at home because the kids can't get a kindergarten space. So it's very different. And back to the 16 states again. Go into it and look where you want to be.
Which is why we're here today, because this is about preparation and getting to know the people that you're meeting. And I hope that you are agreeing with me that both Bastian and Tanya has brought in really nice knowledge and inspiration in order to approach the German market. So for now, Bastian and Tanya, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
You may leave me at the stage, because I will just take a few minutes to finalize this webinar, and I will highlight the fact that you have had all the informations that we have been sharing in the chat along the way. And right now I have a problem in moving on with these slides. So, well, what I would like to just add to you is that I hope that you feel inspired both by Tanya and by Bastian, and that you feel motivated to maybe reach out for more information at the Danish Agriculture and Food Council. And of course, also you can find more support entering the German market by reaching out for the Trade Council in Germany. Also, for more inspiration, you can find the Insight Report, the white papers, and communication material on the Food Nation Toolbox. And this is where you can gain inspiration to be even sharper on your unique selling points approaching the German markets. So with these words, I will hope that you feel motivated and that you will follow the social media channels in order to gain more information from here on. And I would like to wish you all a really good Monday afternoon. Thank you very much for participating, and I hope that I will see you another good time. Have a nice afternoon. Bye.